something kind of got uh, screwed up. Like, so I don't know. I just deleted it and figured I'd start over. I'm not going to take up a lot of time repeating because I think 150 people saw that. So, what I was talking about in the last live, and it was something was kind of glitching out. So I got off and tried to fix it. What I'm going to tell you right now is that I am going to give you a story. But before I do that, let me get into a little bit of news. The news is that we have a new group on YouTube. It's called PRT News, and it will be where we're going to talk about the different stuff that's going on with like these people that are messing with us, attacking us, whatever. So you'll know what we're dealing with. And like some of that stuff that was dropped, like I said in the previous, I'll say it again. I had no idea. Like I had no idea that it was that deep. And the reason is because I don't have time. I don't have time to sit there and fool with these people. They don't work. Like I said this before, none of them. They're all just unemployed. So they sit there and they tee off and they have time to do all that. And you would think that as much time as they have, that they would be able to produce more content, like more, paranormal or whatever it is that they're doing. I don't watch their shows. I really don't. Or cryptids or whatever they're doing. You know what I mean? Like you think that you'd have more time. Well, anyways, enough about that. I don't want to bring this to my channel. Like I said before, I don't want to have that be the case. So we're not going to get into a big old dissertation about that. What we're going to do, though, we were talking about, and Thursday I'm going to be on Blondes and Booze every Thursday this coming month, starting tonight, which is actually the 31st. And I'm really happy. I'm excited. I'm excited about it. Tonight, actually, we're going to drop. I'm sorry, I messed up on that. 31st tonight. We're dropping an episode tonight. It's the second part, I believe, with Steven Seagal. And then we're going to do Blondes and Booze tomorrow, which is the first, which will be the beginning of February. So it starts tomorrow night, okay? And we're going to interview a guy named Rod Nichols, and I'm excited. It's going to be every Thursday with Blondes and Booze. Go check them out. Those ladies are wonderful. Like and subscribe. And then Friday, we're doing our regular interviewing people. We got a cool guest coming on this Friday. I'm excited about that too. Excited to talk to him and whatever. And then on Saturday, we're going to be doing a UAP project. Now, I did talk to Christopher Jordan, who was supposed to be my co-host on that. And he had originally said, yeah, but then he said, I have a bunch of stuff to do in February, and he's going to be out for like 10 days. So we may not be able to do it with him, but we're going to do it with someone. We're going to get it done. And so whether we do it all of February and then go into March, we may just keep going. It is an ambitious project, and it is a long project because, you're trying to get all these people together. We could have done like maybe 2 or 3 episodes and just crammed it all in there. But I thought, why not just spread it out? And it's easily could encompass 2 months. So I'm thinking I'm probably just going to go all through February, all through March. Tell me what you think of that. Give me your opinions on that, and don't be shy. And also on Sunday, we're going to keep doing what we do, retelling people's stories. I was reminded by Tony, who heard me joking about the stories that he was writing down in his notebook from the internets and the people that were sending them to him, and saying that a few of those people were clamoring to get their story told. And that now, and the reason that we need to get it done is because these people are free to go to any other podcaster or YouTuber, and a lot of them have, like the guy from Sweden, he's already reached out to Matt Imsch, and Matt's going to be telling his stories, and I'm like, oh, that's great. So I need to get on the ball, and it's not in a competition with Matt. I love Matt or any of the other Josh Pinocchio or any of these other people who get people's stories. Those people, I consider them to be my friends, and I'm not competing with them in any shape or form, and people are welcome to give me their stories just like they're welcome to give them their stories. But I do have a responsibility to the listeners to get out as many as I can. And so we're pumping out content like crazy, trying to get, caught up. And but don't stop sending me your stories. I noticed that the last time I said that I was overwhelmed with stories, it kind of slowed down, which slowed down in the way that not to a trickle, but like maybe just like 4 or 5 a day, as opposed to what I was getting, which was like 7 or 8. And I notice fluctuations like that. I have to pay attention to that. And so I was like, why are we getting this many now? And it was like, oh, and Anthony kind of tracked it back and said, well, whenever you say something, people key in on it. They think, well, he's too busy. We're just going to take that story. We're going to give it to somewhere else. But we're not going to do that. They can go and give it to whoever they want, and it won't make me upset or anything like that. But we're not gonna ignore people's stuff. We're gonna try and get it out. And I know a lot of you are waiting for me to tell your encounter. And thank you for those encounters. Keep them coming. But I will say this: we are a little backed up, and we have been for about 2 years. But every time I talk about a subject, like last night, okay, we dropped the Egyptian magic subject. Two people have already messaged me, not giving me anything yet. They have not given me a story, okay, but they did message me and say, "Hey, I have something to tell you in that pertains to this subject." So that's kind of where we're at. Like they are in the stages of getting their stuff together and just giving me the heads up that yeah, we do have something to tell you. So I already got two people possibly giving me encounters. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that those are going to be show worthy. I mean, I have no idea what I'm going to get. They may send me something, and it's just a little small, whatever. Maybe it's something I could throw in there in passing, or maybe I can tell it on another show or something. But yeah. That being said, I would like to do this throughout the week. Just pop in and say hi. And if you guys got time, then check out a story or an encounter that I'm going to tell. Now, I'm going to tell you one right now. Uh, this encounter that I wanted to tell, I think I got everything out that I needed to say. Make sure. Oh no, one other thing. We are going to start doing something for the memberships. We have these memberships, and we're not doing anything. And we know we try to be nice, and we don't put our stuff behind a paywall. All right. That being said, we talked about it, and it may be something we don't want to do that. I'm really dead set against doing that with the paywall. But last month, we didn't get a lot of help, from the listeners. Now I don't know why that is. I don't know if the listeners, you guys think, oh, this guy's, he's got it, whatever. No, I have a ton of things that I have to take care of, and people were talking about that show that I did about the woods being haunted. Um, I people keep saying, well, just take a parabolic mic and put up cameras and do this and do that. Folks, I don't have that kind of money right now. I actually literally, I don't have money to upgrade everything. We just bought a new computer this past year, and it was like a whole system, and it cost us like several grand to get everything upgraded. Just the computer alone was like $3,000 to get everything that we needed to run the way we needed it to run. So new mics and everything we upgraded. So there's not a lot of money that I have available that's allotted to do the show. There's only like so much money that I can put into this, and I have put a ton of money into this show. It just keeps, like a snake eating its own tail. And so with the amount of money that we got coming in last month as opposed to what we have going out, there's a huge disparity there. So I have to be very careful about what I spend going forward. And I was pretty much, told, hey, we're overspending here. And I have people that do that for me. They take care of that, and they tell me, what you can spend, what you can do, and we're way over budget. So yeah, and I thought we would have a better month than we did. But then, after the second week, I was like, nah. And I understand because I've said this before, Christmas hangover, everybody's broke from Christmas, so January to be expected. But hopefully we can rebound. Now, if you want to help out with the show, a good way to do it is through the PayPal link. We're going to start providing that like clockwork. We're just going to have to get on it and put it on the show. Now, if you want your comment to be read, seen, and heard, then do a super chat, no matter how big or small. That way you can get it read. What we're going to start doing, though, if you're willing to donate during the show, okay, if you're going to give a donation over $50, we're going to make sure that we give you something. We send you something. If you buy a membership, we're going to send you something. We're going to give you something. And it'll go up depending on what you do. If you want to purchase 10 memberships, 20 memberships, whatever, to gift people, then you'll get more. Okay, you'll be taken care of. So if you buy a membership, you pay for a membership or pay for someone else's membership, you'll get something. So we appreciate that. We're going to start doing something, do a little more. And for the Patreon, you already know that's the best way to go because you get like a really good deal with the Patreon. 10, 20, 30, 40, $50 tiers, and you get more and more stuff. And so we have a lot of merchandise that we've invested in, and it's just sitting there. And so we're going to start doing the giveaways again this year. And we already got 2 people that are going to be getting stuff coming out, Now, I also want to make sure that everybody is taken care of in that way. But I also want people to understand that if you can't do it, then that's perfectly fine. For now, we're still keeping everything free. We don't want to put things behind a paywall, okay? But it just seems like with the way the numbers are going, we're getting very little in the way of content, like as far as like revenue. So we don't put a lot of ads on our stuff. We put like the minimum, but there's still a lot of YouTube ads that they throw on there. But we ourselves try to keep it to like, I think there's only like 4 of them on an hour long episode. And so we get ad revenue, but it's not going to pay the bills. Let's put it that way. So that being said, we do appreciate the help. Anybody who's willing to help, and we have had a few people who are pretty regular in helping or whatever, but couldn't do so much in January because of Christmas. And I understand that. Christmas is important to me too. So that being said, let me get to this. We have a story that was given to us by a girl who should go by the name of Val, and she's from Abilene. Well, she's not from there, but she lived in Abilene, Texas. And this happened when she was like 7 or 8 years old. She couldn't remember exactly which. It was in the summertime, and her parents. She just remembers like her older sister, who to this day, and they're in their 40s now, refuses to talk about it. She's like, my sister doesn't like to talk about it, but when she and the neighbor were playing outside, um, they saw something that looked like a bulbous jelly blob that was stuck to the side of the house. And it looked like this grayish, amorphous mass. And so she says, I was inside and I was playing with my dolls, Barbies, whatever. And she said that I just remember my sister, we'll call her Kay. Almost fell back. Her sister, we'll call her Kay. She runs inside the house and says, Mom, Dad, come here quick. Look. Dad was asleep because Dad had to go to work in the afternoon. I understand that. My dad used to work shift work. And so she goes outside with her mother, and the mom tells her, be quiet, your dad's asleep, whatever. And she says, as a small child, she's like, I was told to stay in the house. Well, oftentimes kids don't listen. They don't do what they're told. And so she says, I looked out the window and I could see them pointing at the wall and my mother picking up a stick and touching something. She's like, so I went outside to observe what was happening. And she says, I see this thing sitting on, like, stuck to the wall. And there were like these slimy looking tentacle things that were hanging down below it. And she says, I couldn't believe my eyes when this thing literally like slid down the wall. And my mother tried to poke it with a stick. And one of these slimy tentacle things reached up and pulled the stick out of her hand, pulled it away from her, literally pulled it out of her hand. And then started to move, like inching at first, and then moving very quickly across the yard. The whole while, the 2 dogs they had were terrified and were huddled together in the corner. Thank you, Miguel Guerra, for that donation. I greatly appreciate that. And the dogs were huddled, whimpering in the corner of the yard. And she's like, I couldn't believe our dogs. She's like, Max in particular was a boxer pit mix, and he was pretty aggressive, and he was terrified. He was whining. And whatever this thing was, made a beeline for the chain link fence. When it got to the chain link fence, it didn't scale it. It went through it. And she says, I observed this as a child. She's like, years later, I always wondered, she's like, I wondered if this, what I saw was just a dream. And so one day I asked my sister, who always said she didn't want to talk about it. And she says, well, I was wondering if this was just like a dream, or so maybe I just imagined it because you and Mother would never speak about it. And the neighbor kid moved away before she ever, could talk to her about it, because for some reason she quit coming around, quit going to they quit like seeing them. And the only time they saw them was at church. And whenever she would try to bring it up, the girl would just walk away from her. Well, they lived two houses over, the neighbors, right? The neighbors next door, apparently, she talked to them through Facebook years and years later. She said, like, she goes, several years ago, I got in touch with my neighbors. And she's like, and I told them about this encounter. She's like, I went out on a limb and I told them. And the neighbors said that this thing, whatever it was in their backyard 2 nights later, two days after that incident. They found this in their backyard on top of their dog house. And apparently the dog had passed away. So they don't know if this thing was responsible for taking the dog's life or doing whatever it did. But the dog died in the middle of the night when they took the dog to be buried. It had a horrible smell to it that was like a chemical smell. And the whole dog house ended up having to be thrown away. Now, the dad, when he handled the doghouse, this is the neighbor, right? He got very ill. He got very sick with flu-like symptoms, and the smell from this doghouse and from when the dog's body smelled like a sort of pesticide or something, some sort of weird smell. It was awful, mixed with fertilizer. And this is from the neighbors that told her this. They were elderly people, but their grandchildren who lived 2 towns over would come to visit periodically in the summertime, and they would be there. She's like, they weren't there at that time whenever this happened, but one of their grandchildren said that yes, the grandfather, had said yes, this actually happened, and he got very ill. Now his son had come to help him and was smart. He used gloves to touch this thing, and he didn't get as sick. He was older than her. Now he would be in like his 60s, and the grandparents are deceased. But she talked to the grandchildren who were her age, who were in their early 40s. One of the things she said too was this amorphous blob thing appeared after a ball of light was seen in the sky by several people who reported it, and then supposedly it was even in the news. Now I don't know if that's true or not. This is like the 80s. I don't know if that ever was in the news. This is just what she says she remembers. But she says when she tries to remember the incident, it's almost like there's a block there. Something's trying to block her memory, and it's like a dream. She said years and years went by. Finally, her sister Kay came forward at Thanksgiving a few years ago and says, yes, this happened, and she's like, but after it happened, she's like, she got ill too, but not nearly as bad as the people who had to move the doghouse next door. This blob-like thing, when they saw it sitting on the doghouse, they went inside to grab a gun. When they came back out, it was gone. So that thing had disappeared, and nobody knows whatever happened to it. That was the last anybody in the neighborhood that she knows of had seen of it. And of course, their dog died. So it was smart of those dogs to stay away from this thing, whatever it was, whether it was from a UFO or if it was man made or if it was alien in origin, we don't know. We may never know. But Val, I can tell you this, was deeply troubled by it. And she did, years later, about 10 years later, see what she thought was an orb, a blue ball of light, zip through their yards, like and go over the neighbor's yard and then go out into the street and then disappear. But multiple times people had seen stuff in the sky in that area. Now, I personally can understand, I lived in Haskell, which is Haskell County, which is, like I think 70, 80 miles or something from Abilene. And over the years, when I was a kid, there were a few different flaps, people claiming to see things. And even one of my friends from when I was a child gave me a story of a gargoyle-like creature. And I told that on the show. And so it is really weird. I mean, I think that, what is this, Kevin Klein? What are you saying here? He invented the helmet in the military. Talking about the military. Always good comments on here. Well, anyways, let me get back to this and then we'll finish up. But so anyway, that's her story, and it was an interesting story. She had a few others too from stuff that had happened to her, but it started with that. After she had that incident, then other things happened. See, I was talking to a guy earlier named Tony Montanino, and he's a good friend of mine from Thorndale, Texas, the same town where Thorndale Meat Market is. And I've told stories from that region, that area of Central Texas. And when Bart and Letitia were here, Maddie and Bettina, I took them all out there. Chris Clough, they all went out there at different times to visit Trey. Trey has catered both of my conferences, and he'll cater the third one too. And you know, I have a history in that area, and me and Tony talked, and he was telling me about his well, I guess, like almost dying, not really a near death experience, but he got shot at a Madden tournament years ago, and it's a pretty, it was all over the news. It made nationwide news, and he lived. He got shot, but after that incident, he's had multiple things happen to him, and at some point, he's going to come to the studio, and he's going to sit in and talk because he's a bar manager here in Austin, and he's going to talk about what has gone on, what kind of stuff has happened to him. But it seems like, when you're young, something happens, and then boom, there's all this activity that takes place, and you end up, being an experiencer. So if you like this, and you want to hear more of this, and you want me to do more shows like this, let me know. And I'll try not to take up too much of your time, 20, 30 minutes, and I'll pop in periodically, and you can always watch the replay. And we'll do 20 to 30 minutes, and we'll talk, do a little bit of news, updating, whatever. And then I'll tell you a story or an encounter like I did with Val. Now, this person who this happened to, she also got me in touch with somebody who she met through another group, and it is a UFO UAP group. And I went recently, joined up. Um, that person had an encounter very similar to this, and I'll be telling you that one on the show probably on Sunday. So tune in on Sunday, and or maybe I'll tell it in the prelims on Friday. So Friday or Sunday, I'll tell you another jelly UFO alien blob story. Somebody that she met, and that one I believed came out of Kentucky. So tune in for that one, and we'll do it again, and we'll talk about it, and I believe it was Louisville. I'm almost certain. I can go back and look, but I think it was Louisville, Kentucky, where that one happened. But she met her in a group, and she says, "Hey, you need to talk to this girl. She's got a story too." So we'll be telling that one too, like I said. But tune in to Paranormal Roundtable tonight, 7 o'clock. We'll be dropping it like it's hot, and then when we're done with PRT, go to Barton's channel and check him out. Thank you for that donation. Who just donated? I appreciate it. Somebody says, "Thank you, PRT team. I am not usually awake on the lives, showing appreciation for the hours of contemplation and alignment. P.S. I don't believe the woman in the last episode was a human female." Oh, the Egyptian curse. Yeah, that may be because we debated about it for a good 2 hours after we did the show. Myself and Anthony and Tony, and we sat there talking about it in the studio because it was, and we poured over the notes and the information that was given to us, and that's a weird story. That one we dropped last night. Go check it out, folks. If you haven't heard that one, you got to go check it out, man. And then listen to the update that I did on the woods, the haunted woods. I did a follow-up update. We came to some conclusions, and I pointed out some things that I went over in my head and contemplated all day long until I said, you know what, I'm going to go on and I'm going to tell the audience what I think, was going on with that. I came to some conclusions. Maybe yours will be different. And then you know what? That's okay. We're all in this together. We're all doing this together. Ignore these haters. Screw them, dude. I mean, if you want to, but if you want to see what they're doing and know it's really messed up. It is really jacked up. And you'll see what kind of people they are that are attacking me and my friends and my allies. They're just, the filthy five, dude. They are what they are, man. I mean, just go look, go check it out. PRT News. Go join the PRT News group on Facebook. It was created by Nellie, and I was wrong. It was two of the people that were helping her get that information. Well, I guess more than that. There's been several, but two in particular that really deserve the credit for helping to bring these people, to the light, so that they can't hide like cockroaches that they are. But anyways, folks, thank you for tuning in. And I'm going to do this 2 or 3 times a week. I'm just going to pop in at random and give a story because like I said, I'm backed up, but I love it. Keep bringing the stories. Keep telling me these stories and these encounters. I love these encounters, and not that you had them, but you already had them. You might as well share them, right? All right. So thank you for tuning in. I'll see you tonight, 7 o'clock. And then afterwards, you got Barton Lindley. So good night. We'll check it out. Go check it out. We'll see you.